It started as a normal night, the kind where people just fill up their tanks, grab a snack, and leave. Nothing unusual, or so it seemed. But that night, one small gas station on the edge of town became the center of a story no one would forget. Alex was driving late, alone, headlights bouncing off dark roads, mind wandering. He stopped at a 24-hour station that looked quiet and empty. Neon lights flickered, casting uneven shadows across the lot. On the surface, it was safe, ordinary, nothing to worry about. Inside, the cashier, a young man named Darren, greeted him casually. Alex noticed something in his eyes, a flicker of nervousness or fear. He couldn't place it. He shook it off. Maybe Darren was just tired. As he walked back to his car, a sudden noise froze him, scratching, like fingernails on metal. Outside the glass door, shadows seemed to shift. He looked around. Empty lot. Hum of the neon sign. He convinced himself it was nothing. Maybe a raccoon. Then came the first scream, sharp, piercing, the kind that makes your blood run cold. Alex spun around, searching, but saw nothing. The pumps were empty. The night stayed still. Another sound, the jingle of the door behind him. Someone had entered. But when he turned, no one was there. Only shadows and a faint reflection of movement in the glass that didn't belong. By the time police were called, someone driving by had heard distant cries. The scene had changed. Quiet, almost untouched. But Alex swore he had seen figures moving, vanishing the moment he focused on them. That night wasn't the first strange event at this station, but it was the first time someone survived to tell it. Weeks later, a teenager named Carla stopped at the same station. Neon lights, late night, the usual quiet. But she noticed the same flicker in the cashier's eyes that Alex had described. Something watching, just beneath the surface. Then came the whisper, faint, almost too soft to hear. "Don't look." She froze, gripping her keys, trying to convince herself it was her imagination. Shadows twisted around the pumps, impossible angles, shapes that shouldn't exist. She felt it then, a presence close enough that she could smell it. Metal and damp earth. Heavy, unnatural breath on the back of her neck. She ran, barely reaching her car, slamming the door. Just as the lights flickered violently, plunging her into darkness for a second that felt eternal. By the time she drove away, her hand shaking, heart pounding, she noticed a message scrawled on her rearview mirror. "You shouldn't have come here." Carla wasn't the only one. Strangers passing through, noticing oddities, disappearing for hours. Some returned shaken and silent. Others never returned at all. The police found no signs of forced entry. Cameras had been disabled for weeks. Nothing except witness accounts, describing shadows, moving with intention, whispers speaking in familiar voices, and the constant feeling of being watched, even in daylight. One man, Leo, stopped for a drink. He saw a figure at the far corner, hooded, face hidden. As he passed, the figure turned slowly, eyes glowing faintly red. He froze. In that moment, he felt the figure's thoughts, probing, searching. He tried to leave. The pumps wouldn't work. Lights flickered. The air grew thick. The figure moved closer, not walking, sliding across the asphalt unnaturally fast. Leo never made it to his car. Later, the police found his vehicle, running, but empty. Only his wallet sat neatly on the seat. A pattern emerged. Everyone stopping at the station during certain hours experienced something different, yet constant. An underlying threat, always there, waiting. Not random, not accidental. A presence choosing its victims. Locals began talking. Strange occurrences, figures in the night, shadows that whispered names. Skeptics called it imagination. Those who dared stop after dark knew better. Then came the blogger. Someone documenting events in painstaking detail. What made it terrifying was the accuracy. Stories matched witness accounts down to minor details no one outside the investigation could know. The blogger didn't just report, they analyzed patterns, hinted at causes, described movements as if observing for years. People compared notes. Same lot locations, same hours, same glimpses of the hooded figure. Every account matched predictions on the blog. But one discovery was most chilling. The blog didn't just report, it predicted. Not generally, but specifically. Who would notice first, how shadows would move, what would happen to each person. It became clear the blogger wasn't just observing. They were either connected to the events or the very entity responsible. Disappearances escalated. People stopped showing up at work. Families reported missing members who had stopped for a quick fill-up. Surveillance footage, where available, showed shadows stretching across the lot unnaturally. One frame captured a person standing still while their shadow moved independently, reaching out, probing. Authorities were baffled. Skeptics dismissed it as mass hysteria. Paranormal enthusiasts called it proof of something beyond human understanding. Locals called it the gas station that watches. Even now, passing by late at night, people report the same weight in the air, eyes on their backs, whispers just out of reach. Cameras fail, phones die, lights flicker. Occasionally, a shadow detaches from the walls, following, waiting. And the blog continues, posting new incidents, new accounts, same calm, analytical tone. Every post ends with a warning disguised as a story, a reminder that sometimes the places you trust most, like a gas station, are the ones you should fear. If you think you're safe the next time you stop for gas, think again. Someone or something is always watching. But what happened next will shock you. Witnesses say the shadows aren't just moving, they're choosing, and their choice is deadly. If you're enjoying this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the full unraveling of this terrifying mystery. Like, comment, and subscribe for more mysteries. And remember, sometimes the places you trust the most are the ones you should fear the most. The story didn't end with Alex, Carla, or Leo. Others kept stopping at that gas station, drawn by necessity, curiosity, or sheer bad luck. And every time, something changed. The shadows grew bolder, the air heavier. The feeling of being watched became suffocating. One man, an off-duty trucker named Vince, arrived just after midnight. The lot was empty, the neon lights buzzing faintly. He noticed the flicker in the cashier's eyes, the same he had heard described on the blog. But what caught his attention first was the air itself. It was cold, too cold for a summer night, and carried a scent like iron and wet soil. As Vince pumped his gas, he saw a figure across the lot, a woman pale, standing still near the convenience store doors. At first, he thought she was just another late-night customer, but as he looked closer, she didn't move, not a single step. And yet, her eyes followed him, unblinking. Something compelled him to finish quickly. As he reached for his wallet, a sudden gust of wind slammed the pump shut. The lights flickered violently, and the figure vanished. Heart pounding, Vince hurried to his truck. And then he heard it, a whisper, low, close to his ear, though no one was there. Stay, forever. He drove away without looking back, but when he checked the rearview mirror minutes later, he swore he saw the same figure, standing by the pumps, watching. Then there was Maria, a college student returning from a late-night study session. She pulled into the station for a drink, and everything seemed normal at first. But the instant she stepped out of her car, her instincts screamed danger. The shadows under the canopy stretched unnaturally, curling toward her feet like dark fingers. She looked around. The lot appeared empty, but movement flickered in the corners of her eyes. A man, or what looked like a man, stood by a pump, hood pulled low. She couldn't see his face, but she could feel it staring, dissecting, calculating. Every step she took, the shadows inched closer, keeping pace as if alive. Maria ran inside, grabbed her drink, and dashed back to her car. She slammed the door shut. The lights flickered again, then stabilized. A moment of relief fleeting, because then she noticed it. Written on the dashboard, faintly, in what looked like condensation, the words, "You can't leave." What made this station so terrifying wasn't that people were disappearing randomly. It was that the station seemed to understand fear. It anticipated it. It exploited it. The lights, the shadows, even the whispering voices, everything was orchestrated to trap, to disorient, to terrify. Locals who avoided the station for months spoke in hushed tones about the night sounds, engine hums with no cars, distant footsteps echoing through the lot. Whispers that mimicked the voices of loved ones. Some swore they saw figures pacing inside the station when it was empty. Glimpses caught through the windows, always watching, and the blog chronicled it all. Every new incident, every terror-stricken witness, every missing person. But there was one post that changed everything. It described an event before it happened, predicting a new disappearance down to the minute. The post warned of someone stopping at the pump at 12:03 a.m., a shadow following them, a whisper in their ear, and the disappearance that would follow. When investigators checked the station, they confirmed it. Surveillance had caught nothing unusual. Cameras failed, lights flickered at the exact time, pumps stopped working. Yet the event unfolded exactly as the blog had described. It became clear that whatever was haunting this gas station was not random. It had intelligence, awareness, intent. The shadows weren't just dark shapes. They were predators, testing, learning, choosing their victims. Then came the story of two friends, Sam and Derek. They stopped for gas on a weekend night, joking and laughing, unaware of the danger. The moment they stepped onto the lot, everything shifted. The neon lights buzzed unevenly. The wind carried faint whispers, mimicking their laughter. Shadows moved just beyond the edge of the light, always keeping pace. They approached the pumps, noticing the faint outline of a figure near the store, hooded, face obscured. The blog warned about these figures, but they thought it was an urban legend, a prank. But as they pumped gas, the shadows stretched across the asphalt unnaturally, wrapping around their legs, climbing without sound. The hooded figure didn't move, yet it felt closer, as if it had been inside their heads the entire time, reading their thoughts. Sam reached for his phone. No signal. Derek tried the truck. Dead battery. Panic set in. The shadows coiled, moved, and then silence. Only the faint sound of dripping water echoed somewhere, impossibly far and close at once. They ran, breathless, hearts pounding. They didn't stop until the gas station was miles behind them. When they looked back, the lights of the station seemed to pulse, alive, as if mocking them. By this point, the station had a reputation. People avoided it, but curiosity and necessity drew some in. Journalists, thrill seekers, skeptics, everyone reported the same phenomena: strange shadows, whispers, lights failing, pumps refusing to work, and the sense that someone or something was watching every move. Then the final piece fell into place. The blogger, previously anonymous, was identified through digital tracing. The account was empty, the name untraceable, but timestamps revealed that the blogger had been on site during multiple incidents. Every prediction matched an event they witnessed, and some began to suspect a chilling possibility. The blogger wasn't human. Reports of missing persons rose sharply. Survivors described the same feeling, a living presence, intelligent, patient, and precise. One woman, Emily, said the shadow seemed to communicate silently with the hooded figure. They moved in unison, anticipating her every step. Emily barely escaped that night. When she recounted her experience, her voice trembled. She said the shadows whispered her name, using her memories, her fears, even her family's voices, trying to lure her out. "I thought I was dreaming," she said. But it was real, too real. Authorities remain baffled. The station operates normally during daylight, but after dark, it transforms. Shadows that bend physics, lights that flicker without cause, whispers that mimic loved ones. CCTV often fails. Witnesses vanish for hours, sometimes days. The blog continues to post. Each entry documents incidents in chilling detail. Each post ends the same way, a warning disguised as a story, reminding anyone reading that even a simple stop at a gas station can become a fight for survival. The gas station has become a legend. Skeptics call it urban myth. Locals whisper about the lot that watches. But those who have been there, who have felt the cold presence, who have heard the whispers and seen shadows move against reality itself, know the truth. The final warning? No one is safe. The station doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care how fast you drive. It waits, it watches, it chooses, and when it does, it never lets go. If you ever find yourself stopping at a seemingly ordinary gas station late at night, remember the stories, watch the shadows, listen to the silence. Because someone or something is always there, waiting for the next person who thought they were safe. Like, comment, and subscribe for more mysteries. And always remember, sometimes the ordinary places we trust the most hide the darkest horrors.